Shabbat Shalom. Welcome everyone. Wonderful to be with you here in the sanctuary and also with those of you online, including Charlie, Kim, Justin, Antoinette, and so many more. Know that your presence is felt with us here in the sanctuary. This evening we're going to be using the Sidur Lev Shalem. You can find this in the seat pocket in front of you or beneath you, or if it's not immediately beneath you, check the seat next to you or behind you. There are definitely plenty of them in the sanctuary. We will find you one if you're looking. We're going to get started this evening with Yedid Nefesh, a song that expresses our love for God, and you can find it on page 10 as our rabbinic intern Kaylee Romano leads us.
Yedid Nefesh Av HaRachaman Meshochav Dachel Ritzonach Yarutz Avdach Kemo Ayal Yishachaveh Mul Hadarach Ki Yerov Lo Yedidutach Minofetzu Vechotam
Lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai 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 We're going to turn to page 11, Lechu Neranina.
Lechu Neranina Ladonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Nekadma Fanav Betoda Bizmirot Naria Lo.
And now we're going to turn to page 14 at the little caret, Yismechu Hashamayim.
Yismechu Hashamayim.
Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz.
Yiramayam, Yiramayam,
Yiramayam, Umelo, Yiramayam, Yiramayam, Yiramayam Umelo. All right, we're going to turn it now to Romans 1, page 20. It's at the little caret.
Romanu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kodsho.
Romanu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romanu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. All right, we're going to turn now to Lecha Dodi on page 23 as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
Lecha Dodi likrat kalai
Yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor ve'zachor be'dibur echad Hishmiyanu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet ve'litila Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikadem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavati la. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yenai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yenai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzei mitoch afecha, rav lach shevet be'amek hamacha, vehu yachamol alai chemla. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yenai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Page 24.
Hiznari me'afar kumi, livshi b'zeh tifar zechami, ayad ben Yishai beit halachmi, korva el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yenai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yenai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, ki laorach kumi uri, uri, shir zaberi, kevod Adonai alaich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikali, ma tishtochachi u'ma tehemi, bach yechesu ani e'ani, v'nivneta ir atila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Page 25.
V'hayu limshi shosayich, v'rachaku kol mevalayich, yasis alayich, Elohayich kimsos chatan al kala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yaminu smol tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi al yadish, ben parzi v'nismecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We all rise at this time. We turn back to the door. We take a moment just to exhale and let go of all of the stresses, anxieties, and pains of the week that has passed, which are many, as we step into this time of Shabbat with its promise of redemption, of peace, of dreams of goodness to come. Bo'e v'shalom, we welcome the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום, עצרת בעלה גם בשמחה, ובצולה תוך אמוני, עם סגולה בואי כלה, לא יכלה.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. And you may be seated. Larry, I know that you're watching with us online. And to you during this week of Shiva, as we remember your brother Arnie, we offer you these words of love and comfort. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May you know sorrow no more. We turn to the Psalm for Shabbat, page 27.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי אשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Page 28.
צדיק תמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים רעננים יהיו להגיד, כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת אבות.
Page 29.
Adonai malach, Geut lavesh Adonai, oz hitazar, avtichon, tevel batimot, nachon kisacha me'az me'olam ata, nasu neharot Adonai, nasu neharot kolam, yisu neharot dochyad, mikolot mayim rabim adirim mishbereyam, adir bamarom Adonai, edotecha nemnu me'od, levetcha navakudesh Adonai leorech yamim.
Invite mourners and those observing a yahrzeit to rise now in body or spirit and join with me in the words of Kaddish found on page 30. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alama tivara ke'erutei v'yamalich malachutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizaman kariv imiru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevorach, le'alam ul'omei olmaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipawar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei dekutsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alama v'imeru, amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imeromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshevei Tevel, v'imeru.
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Shkoach to Kaylee Romano, our rabbinic intern, who led us in Kabbalat Shabbat. Wonderful to be with all of you this evening, those of you here in the sanctuary, and also those of you joining us online, including Justin, Antoinette, Charlie, Kim, Jennifer, and Myra. Know that your presence is felt with us here in the sanctuary. This Shabbat, there's so many things happening in the world. This Shabbat, this week, it's been a tough one. We read Parshat Vayechi, which is the concluding portion of the book of Genesis. And at the end of this week, I'd like to close a chapter on some of the things that have gone on. Of course, I'm mindful of the fires devastating California in this time. Many of you know that I grew up in Los Angeles, that I've been in touch with my family constantly and with others who I know and cherish, who have lost their homes and been displaced, who have evacuated and who have struggled and lost so much. And there's so little to say, and I'm going to say some more about this tomorrow. And if that wasn't the main thing in the news, then it would be about President Carter's unfortunate passing. He lived to be over 100 years old and had a profound impact as a statesman on our country. And of course, if that wasn't dominating the news, it would be the cold spell that most of the country's in, and how grateful we are to be here in Arizona, where it is so lovely and warm, even in these winter months. So tonight I want to just touch on something I observed, with President Carter's passing. And it wasn't just the images of current politicians from different parties sitting together and seemingly laughing with each other and being able to find common ground, but also some of those of you that watched the funeral know that there was this beautiful moment where Gerald Ford's son gave a eulogy that 19 years ago, before his father had passed, that he had written for his friend, President Carter, who of course had defeated him in the 1976 election. And that we live in a time and place where our politics is sometimes so toxic that people who come from different political ideologies and backgrounds, that if you know the way that someone voted and they didn't vote the way that you think that they should, it's easy for us to judge and cast away another person and to alienate and to end friendships over this. And it's a remarkable testimony to the character of a politics that once existed, to see the kind of affection that these men had for one another, and to see that reflected in such a beautiful way in the funeral of President Carter, and the way in which the Carter family and the Ford family had this special bond, despite their patriarchs being on opposite sides of a major election not so long ago. And I was thinking about this also in light of this week's Torah portion, because in Parshat Vayechi, what happens is most of the portion is it's Jacob, our ancestor, on his deathbed. And it's important to know that each of Jacob's sons not only is an individual, but also becomes a tribe of Israel. And that according to tradition, the tribes were so separate in different ways that they couldn't agree with each other, and that there was such infighting between the tribes. The Midrash tells us that when the Israelites crossed the sea, it wasn't actually one lane that the Israelites crossed the sea, but 12 separate lanes, and each tribe crossed its own, and there was a separate splitting of the sea for each tribe of Israel, according to rabbinic literature, because the tribes wouldn't be patient about this one goes before me and so forth, because each one was in competition with one another. It's more reminiscent in some ways of the politics that we're familiar with today, where if you're not with me, you must be against me. And what's beautiful in this week's Torah portion is all of Jacob's children each of the tribes of Israel, and we're called the tribes of Israel, by the way, because Jacob's name was Israel. We're the people Israel, we're the Israelites, we're B'nai Israel, literally the sons of Israel, because the sons of Israel are our ancestors, and each tribe was one of the sons of Israel. We're these different individuals who had different ideas, who disagreed with each other frequently, who had major conflicts that are discussed in the Torah and others that the rabbis imagine that they have, but that are even more significant. That they were able to all stand together in a moment of meaning and listen to their father as he approached the end of his life. That he was able to share whatever it is that he had to say, and that each of them were able in that moment reflecting on loss in the same way that in this moment reflecting on the loss of what President Carter represented for so many. And I should mention there are many things that he did and said that I am not a fan of, though there are many things that he did and said that I think are remarkable, including I can share with you when I was in Israel many years ago as a rabbinic student, just over a decade ago, I stood in the Israeli National Archives, which is frankly very different than the National Archives here in the States. It's not a public building, it's like an industrial building, an industrial section of Jerusalem with no indication that it is the Israeli National Archives out front, right? There is heavy security and people don't go in there without special invitations, but I was able to go in there and we went into a room and I held in my hand the peace treaty that was made in 1979, the Israeli copy of the treaty with Egypt. And how remarkable that even with so many tensions that have happened since that peace has held, and what a blessing that has been for the Jewish people, for the Egyptian people, and for the world, and that President Carter was a part of making that happen during his time. There are lots of things that he said and done, as I mentioned, that I don't agree with, but I think that there's something that's beautiful that in response to his passing, people that normally disagree and don't talk to one another, we were able to see in a very public way come together and be together. And that's a parallel to what we see in this week's Torah portion, where these different brothers who disagree about so much, who lead tribes that are quarreling with each other all of the time, are able to come together to reflect and to honor a person that they sometimes agreed with, sometimes disagreed with, but who mattered to each of them. And that when we face deep loss, as we have in the lives of many of you who are here, as we remember those that and mourn those that we love and have lost, and as we also reflect on the great losses that have been incurred by so many in Los Angeles, in the area that I grew up, among the evacuees or former classmates and dear colleagues and friends who have lost their homes, that in response to this kind of loss, one of the things that brings us together is the recognition of what's truly important. The people and relationships that we cherish, the souls of those that we love, and the way in which even despite so much pain, loss, and devastation, we are able to continue to step forward. So may we heed the examples that we've seen this week despite tragedy. May we heed the example of our Torah as we step forward and express with dignity and love our appreciation for others, including those who might disagree with us from time to time. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn now to the evening service prayer, the Aravit, on page 39. Please rise. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. And we are seated. Baruch Adonai. Umavir yom umevi laila umavdil min yom umevi laila Adonai tzavot shema el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai hamarim v'haravim. Avat Olam, page 40. כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו והנגע יומם ולילה ובטח אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 41. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchut Hallel Poed ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטובות בין עיניך וכתבתם על זאת ביתך ובישעריך. Page 42. והיה Adonai Elohechem Emet Vemunah. Page 44. Malchuto b'ratzon gibleihem Moshe Miriam Yisrael Chanshura b'simcha rabba v'yamaru chulam mi chamocha ba'olim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norat teilot osef ele Malchutecha reuvanecha bokam lifnei Moshe ze eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nemar kifat Adonai et Yaakov u'gialo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai gawal Yisrael. Page 45. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamideinu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamideinu malkeinu lechaim. All my life I've been waiting I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war and the children will play. One day, one day, one day, oh. One day, one day, one day. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamideinu malkeinu lechaim ufrost. U'shmor tzeiteinu v'nechem shalom et avraham ufrost leinu sklat shlomecha Baruch ata Adonai habores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo beit Yisrael v'yal Yerushalayim. We rise, page 46. Veshamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעולמד יברך כותב המליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בוא גולה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולמי יתברך וישתבח ויתבר וישמם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילם יתרום בחדה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו Amen. We continue now in personal prayer on pages 47 through 52 with the Friday night Amidah. You can offer the prayers as they're written in Hebrew and English, but also whatever prayer fills your heart, feel free to offer at this time. When you've completed your personal prayer, your personal audience with the Holy One, blessed be God, feel free to be seated. Adonai sevatai tiftachu fi agiti latacha. Ose shalom mimramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yimeru, yimeru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. We're going to offer now a prayer of healing for all those who are ill. Mishabeirach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha La'imoteinu, may the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who brought healing to Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those for whom we now pray, including Tzipora bat Brindle, Leora bat Chedva, Sarah bat Tova, Mark Finkelstein, Yael bat Chayasara, Adin Mordechai ben Bela, Steve Thorpe, Meryl bat Perla, Tzvi ben Shoshana, Yodit bat Yochevet Sar, Rachel bat Cyril, Rachel Rivka bat Perla, Mordechai ben Ruth, Esther Batya bat Liba, Nathan Yidel ben Lakim, Malka Devor bat Chana Shifra, Joan Gray, Daniel Yisrael bat Ben Ilana Simone, Batya bat Sarah, Pearl Abramson, Nancy Zorfis, Yodit bat Chana, Marsha Azamov, Yenta Gittel bat Hinda, Elka Edel bat Bella, David ben Elisheva, Avram ben Meir, Moshe ben Ra'el, Yitzchak Alevi ben Miriam, Vicky Bird, Chesa bat Brina, Annette Rutolo, Yehuda Braun, Neil Rosenblum, Harav Masha Rachel bat Goldalea, Isa ben Miral, Yankel Hersh ben Malka, Aaron ben Lisa, Eliezer Lebensar, Elka, Michael Donahue, Shoshana Sharon Bachana, Chaya bat Devora, John Granick, Mayor David ben Brindle, Shalom ben Pesel, Chai Michal ben Yocheved, Eliyahu David ben Yehudit Chana, Barak ben Bracha, and all the others who we hold in our hearts at this time. May the Holy and restore them to fullness of health, of body, of mind, and of spirit, blessing them and those dedicated to their care. May they journey swiftly towards healing and recovery. Mishabeirach imoteinu Mekor HaBeracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of the spirit, and let us say, Amen. Refuah Shlema. We rise now for the Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shalo asanu kagoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shalo sam chalkeinu karem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim umishtachavim modim, livnei melech malchai hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Kakatuv b'toratech Adonai imloch leolam v'aved v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz b'yom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. May be seated. I already mentioned the passing of Arnie Norban this week. Larry, wishing you comfort again during this week of Shiva. Thank you, Antoinette, in the chat for mentioning also that Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary passed away this week. And likewise, his memory as someone who was able to bring so many diverse people together. And I remember going to his concerts when I was young. Extraordinary and joyful music. We also recognize this week the yurtzites of David Reinwald, Buzz Romanoff's grandfather, Esther Block, Esther Kolodner, your grandmother, Sarah Manson, Andrea Kravitz's grandmother, Shirley Strickhart, Zadel Strickhart's mother-in-law, Sybil Cardis, Adrian Bean Wilner's aunt, Bronya Bronkesh, Cheryl Bronkesh's mom, Jeanne Wagman, Sheldon Wagman's mom, Joseph Schwartz, Bob Schwartz's dad, and Adam and Rachel's grandfather, Michael Green, Barry Green's brother and Evan's uncle, Mildred Lobel, Nancy Cohen's grandmother, Ronald Underberg, Susan Person's dad, Sarah Efron, David Efron's mom, Deanne Schwartz, Mark Schwartz's mom, Lorraine Schneider, Freddie Brown's sister-in-law, Mark Wall, Richie Wall's dad, and Jana Zinman's grandfather, Florence Locke, Marty Locke's mom, Steve Ruthin, Sandra Trepper Finkelstein's brother, Harry Katcher, Brenda Schwartz's father, Rebecca Hoffman, Sandy Hoffman's mom, Samuel Roth, Richard Resnick's grandfather, Albert Cohen, Susan Donner's father, Carl Kaufman, Herb Kaufman's father, Herb, your dad, Norm Weinberg, Scott Weinberg's dad, Phyllis Klein, Debbie Coopersmith's sister, and Lillian Corso, Louise Corso's mom. We pray to Heinish Matam Tzorot B'Tzorah Chaim, that the souls of all of our loved ones past be bound in the bond of life eternal. I invite mourners and those observing a yard site to rise now and join with me in the words of Kaddish on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alama divera kerutei, ve'yamelich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zaman kariv ve'imeru, amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam ul'olmei olmaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpawar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha barich hu le'elah min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alama v'yimeru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael V'al kol yoshevei tevel ve'imeru. Amen. It's my pleasure now to invite Stacy Moskowitz from our board of directors to share this evening's announcements.
Shabbat shalom. Oh, Shabbat shalom.
Just
Are we good?
give Pam a moment because I think she's been using this mic and turn down that one.
Am I good? Okay, now I'm good. Great. Thank you, Rabbi Green, and our rabbinic intern, Kayla Romano, for leading us in our services tonight. Thanks to Pam in the back for your technical assistance. Okay, just a few announcements. Our Bikor Holim committee is ready, willing, and able to help congregants with meals and other things during recovery. If you've had a new baby, if you need rides to doctor's appointments, anything like that. So you can call the synagogue office at any point in time for that. A few upcoming events on next Saturday, January 18th, the Men's Club is hosting a poker night at 7 o'clock in the social hall. It's in the e-bulletin for registration. On the 25th, it's going to be Women's League Shabbat, so we hope many of you will join us for that. On that Sunday, the 26th, we're having Mahjong in the social hall. And then Tuesday, January 28th, Stand With Us is doing an event called Israel on Campus, and that's a workshop on combating anti-Semitism and preparing for campus life. So that's geared towards our families with high schoolers and college-age kids. And then, for those that don't know, our annual fundraiser, Martini Night, Martinis, Motors, and Music, is Saturday, March 1st, which is around the corner. Please check the e-bulletin for sponsorships, tickets, tributes, and any other questions that you have on that. And then just a quick plug, I see one here in the sanctuary, and there might be a few others online. The Rabbi Micah Kaplan Memorial Camp Israel Scholarship Fund is available for applications. So that was in the e-bulletin, and the deadline to apply for that is February 7th, and that's for anyone who is going to a Jewish sleepaway camp or Israel this coming summer. We have scholarship money available. And then tomorrow morning, services are at 9:30, followed by Kiddush. And then just a quick housekeeping item. For those that are staying for dinner, we're so glad you are. We're going to go in the social hall. There's name tags. We'll do Kiddush, even though Rabbi's going to do it real quick here for everyone. And then we will enjoy dinner. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Stacy. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please rise now for Hatikva, page 448. Kol od balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefarte mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia Od lavda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alapayim liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Tzion Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Tzion Yerushalayim. You can find Kiddush on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yavarato nichlanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikrayei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'ota Anu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'avav v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Adonai oz lemoiten, Adonai varech et amo v'shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for being with us.